It's one of the youngest. Okay. As we all know, Nigeria is one of the youngest country in the world in terms of population. It means that young people will carry the burden of the country and the responsibility of climate action for decades to come. Yet, many young Nigerians still do not have enough channel to access climate policy spaces, to access technical knowledge, to access the financing opportunities or platform to influence implementing discussions. And this is why this bootcamp matter. This is not just another climate conversation. This is young people enforcing change. So I'd like us to do a quick climate reality check. Let's in one sentence or in one word, can we drop in the comment box what impacts that the climate have had in your community recently? In one sentence, I believe the climate has had an impact in our communities. Can we just drop in the comments in the chat box what impact climate has had in your community? I'd love to see your comments. Okay, someone says change in the weather condition or extremely hot temperature. Very true. I'd love to see more comments. My community have experienced current heat wave, even though we are just entering the raining season. That's very true. The food basket of the nation is hungry because there's no rain for farming to happen. Wow, that's really interesting. I recently witnessed houses, shop, and the streets get flooded. It's a sad reality, but that's the current reality in Nigeria. I'd love to see more comments. Let's have more comments. Let's have more comments. How has climate impacted in your community recently? Flood, especially this rainy season. That is very true. Over here in Lagos, we're experiencing massive flooding in parts of the island. Lagos. Flooding is a big issue and it's climate related. Okay, someone's also saying reduced agricultural activity in my community. It's sad, but this is the current reality. Okay, someone is also saying drought and water scarcity. All this as a result of change in climates, greenhouse effect. It's not easy to sleep because of heat. The current heat wave is so telling on everyone. Extreme weather and unpredictable rainfall pattern. Yes, this is interesting and this is very true. Change in weather condition. There has been reduced in rainfall recently, all the way from Ondo State. And this is very true. We're supposed to have entered raining season, but it's very, very unpredictable currently. Now, you would notice how almost every response from the chat box all connects climate change to daily life and livelihood. So we can see that climate change has a very, very great impact on our daily livelihood. All right, let's do the last one. This one I'll need you to raise your hands or give a reaction. Either raise your hands or instead just give a reaction if you can give a reaction if you agree with these things that I'm about to mention. Give a reaction if you've experienced extreme heat this year. Wow. All right. Give a reaction if you've noticed an increase in flooding lately. I want to see a variety of reaction. I don't want to see only thumbs up. There should be other reactions. Yeah, I love that, Adam. Yeah. Give a reaction if give a reaction if it's been a while you experienced real harmattan. Right? I miss harmattan. I don't know about any of you. I really, really miss harmattan. I believe our folks in the north may still be experiencing harmattan, but down here in the south, it's been a while. All right. Also, give a reaction if someone you know, if or someone you connected to, if a family member have had his or her livelihood been affected due to climate issues. Maybe someone you know has had to relocate due to flooding, or yeah, this is it. All right. Okay. I believe more and more persons are joining us, so we'll be getting right into it. Over the course of this boot camp, we'll not only discuss climate problem, but we'll also interrogate implementation gap, would explore youth-led solutions, and would identify practical pathways for meaningful participation in Nigeria's climate agenda. We'll be engaging with questions around climate finance, renewable energy and adaptation, accountability and policy implementation, and the role that young people can play in shaping sustainable future for our dear country, Nigeria, and the world at large. And most importantly, this space is designed to be inclusive, participatory, and action-oriented. The future of climate action in Nigeria cannot be built without young people, and it certainly cannot succeed without informed, engaged, and courageous young leaders. Thank you all for being here. I want to thank you once again and welcome you on behalf of our Executive Director, Mr. Joshua Alade. And I look forward to the conversations. I look forward to the ideas and the solution that will emerge from this boot camp. I'll now hand over to the person that will be leading us afterwards. Evangel, over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Israel, for that session. That was quite interactive and engaging. And I'm sure that many of us, one way or the other, have experienced the effect and the impact of climate change in our community. So, yeah. So once again, I'd like to welcome you all to this session this afternoon. Taking out time to attend your onboarding is very crucial and very important to ensuring that you make the most of this boot camp. So my name is Evangeline Olapade, and I'm the programs officer at Network of Youth for Sustainable Initiative. So we'll be providing a brief introduction into what we do as an organization and also what the bootcamp is about. So I'll be sharing a bit with you and then handing the mic over to my colleague Yetunde, who will be providing you a brief update on what's the Climate Voices Nigeria Bootcamp is. So for us at Network of Youth for Sustainable Initiative, we believe strongly that young people should not just be beneficiaries of development, but that they are critical drivers of it. As we all know, that currently in Nigeria, we have over 60% of the population as young people. So which means that young persons cannot be sidelined when we're talking about anything development, whether climate change, whether education, whether finance, whether, name different aspects of development. Young people cannot be sidelined because we make up what a large percentage of the population. So for us as an organization, we engage young people meaningfully to engage in policies and programs that shape their future. Climate change is one important part of it. climate action. And we are very excited to have you join us in this bootcamp because this is going to be more than just a learning experience for you. It's going to be a platform for you to build awareness, strengthen your voice in climate advocacy, and also, it's a platform for us to support new generation of young leaders like you who are ready to engage with climate issues and also drive change. Because at the end of it would be the output from this session would be used to engage key stakeholders around this sector. So without further ado, and so as not to waste much of our time, Yetunde, can you please confirm if you can hear me to briefly just provide a brief overview on what the Climate Voices Nigeria Bootcamp is all about? Over to you, Yetunde. You can hear me. Can Yetunde hear me? All right. So if that's the case, I think she has some network issues. I'll just take that so that we don't waste our time on that. All right. So Climate Voices Nigeria Bootcamp, right, is started some few years back, and when wanted to commemorate COP27, Conference of Parties. How many of us know Conference of Parties? If you know, just drop your likes or drop your comments in the chat box. So Network of Youth for Sustainable Initiative, that's our organization, NGYouthSDGs, hosted advocacy workshop across 6 different geopolitical zones in Nigeria, in Adamawa, Anambra, Kaduna, Kwara, Ondo, and Rivers State, with 360 young Nigerians in attendance. So the focus of the workshop was to understand the threats of climate change and also the importance of climate education and ways that young people can work with the government, business leaders, and youth stakeholders to identify and mitigate the threats of climate change in their communities. Fast forward to 2024, in anticipation of COP30, that was COP29, NGYouthSDGs also had a session like this, a bootcamp session like this, and that session aimed at engaging and educating young Nigerians on crucial climate-related topics, such as climate education, loss and damage, the nationally determined contribution, and also the National Adaptation Plan. And, it also continued last year with climate experts taking sessions to train leaders, young people like you, on emerging climate issues. We all know that the NDC 3.0 has been implemented in 2024. However, there are a lot of implementation gaps that we realize. Now, the disconnect between Nigeria's ambitious climate commitments and the limited institutional integration of youth voices has been identified as a missed opportunity for inclusive and effective climate action. So as a result, we decided to bring together young Nigerians, 100 young Nigerians, of whom you're part of today, to engage in conversations first by raising awareness and also by building your understanding on what climate change is, what are the challenges that you face in your community, and what are the solutions that can be provided to tackle some of these challenges that you might not even necessarily have thought about. So we have experts who have been, we have experts who will be your facilitators during this session. And basically this bootcamp would help you to grow environmentally conscious and also build youth leadership around the practical challenges of the NDC 3.0 implementation, while also positioning you as constructive policy actors. So I want you to sit back and roll up your sleeves and enjoy the ride. First during this onboarding session and also subsequently for the other sessions, that your learning sessions that is going to start on Saturday. So I'd like to say one more time, welcome to the Climate Voices Bootcamp 2026. I would like to see your excitement. I would like to see excitement. I would like to see excitement. Okay, so up next, we'll be talking about your program structure and expectations. So as you all know, we've sent you the onboarding guide, and would like you to open your onboarding guide while you're on this call so that you can follow through in the session as we proceed. I can see that more people have joined. This is quite good. Please reach out to your friends on the group. And yeah, so open your onboarding guide and let me walk you through what to expect from this session. First of all, you will be having the comms team would be projecting that slide so that you can also follow through. But please, if you can open your onboarding guide, that would be great. That would be great. That would be great. Yes, so the way the program is going to run, the program structure is going to run like so. There are 8 sessions in total. 8 sessions in total. And what you'll be learning in the 8 sessions, I'm very sure that at the end of it, you will be good. Well, maybe I should share a personal I should give a personal testimonial. I'd been a beneficiary at some point of the Climate Voices Bootcamp by Nigerian Youth Network of Youth for Sustainable Initiative. Isn't that exciting? So, as someone who has been a beneficiary of the program in the past and also now leading on the same program, so you can see that growth has happened, development has happened, and you can be so sure of what you will be getting at the end of this session. All right. So first off, on your onboarding guide, if you can open it to the section that has the session description, that should be on page 5 of your onboarding guide. You'd see the date and time for the first section. So the way the program is going to be structured these days is going to be holding for 4 weeks. So which means that you have, and it's going to start on May 16th. So May 16th, May 23rd, May 30th, and June 6th will be the dates for your sessions, and they're going to hold virtually all through. So each week we'll have 2 sessions each. So your first session will be holding this coming Saturday by 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And what you'll be learning would be understanding climate change. You'll be learning understanding climate change, and we have facilitators who are going to be taking you on that. At the end of this session, we'll still be unveiling your facilitators. For those of you who follow us on our social media platforms, I'm sure you must have seen some flyers, but we'll still be sharing that with you at the end of this session. So, understanding climate change. So what will you be learning? Basically, you'll be learning what the causes, the effects, the global impact of climate change in Nigeria is. You'll be understanding what effect does climate change have on local impacts of climate change on food security, especially on the ecosystem and even livelihoods. You'll be learning how climate change has, affected the different aspects of development. Basically, how does it affect the ecosystem? Some of you dropped the other time that someone mentioned he hasn't experienced a harmattan in a long time and misses it. Someone mentioned that flooding issues, or it's rainy season and it's very hot. These are some of the challenges, but much more than that, how does it impact food security? We have the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. But one way or the other, I hope you know that climate change has a major effect on almost all the development goals. No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, etc. When the effect is adverse, it has, some form of impact on all these other things. So the interactive activity you'll be engaging in during this session will be that you'll be able to identify and map the effects of climate change in your community by the end of that session. And if you check your onboarding guide, you realize that your session link, registration link is on that. Your registration link is already in the onboarding guide. Then you would also notice that there are spaces for additional resources. These are resources you can engage yourself in. Go through these websites, go through these YouTube links, and get yourself familiarized with some of the key things that you'll be treating ahead of your session. So your next session on Saturday, this same Saturday, is May 16th, and it's going to be by 2 p.m. to 1:30. Your first session is by 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Second session is by 12 p.m. to 1:30. And you'll be learning how the SDGs connect to climate change, and connecting the dots for climate action. There you'll be learning everything about climate education, carbon emission, carbon footprint. How can you calculate your carbon footprint? How much are you contributing? Let me put it this way. How much are you contributing to the general emission that is happening? Everybody's saying, oh, climate change this, climate change that. Let's reduce our carbon footprint, emission this, emission that. But you as an individual, do you know how much you're emitting every day, every week, every month, and yearly as an individual now? Whether you have a vehicle or not, because it's not just having vehicles. Emission doesn't happen just by, not just fossil fuel, actually. So you'll be learning all of these things. And how does net zero, how do we achieve net zero? How do we understand climate literacy for net zero? So you'll be able to learn and analyze your carbon footprints, and then you'll be able to reduce it. So you can also check your learning session materials, and your Zoom registration link for that session is there. So registration always precedes participation. So after you register, you will get a Zoom notification via email immediately after you register. So it's important that you register ahead of the session. That's why all the links for all the 8 sessions have been put in the onboarding guide. Then you can go through your additional resources. Then for your second week, which is May 23rd, please note that all sessions will hold, for all the weeks, will hold between 10 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. and 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. every of these Saturdays. The 4 Saturdays you're going to be engaging in this. That is how the session is going to run. And what you'll be learning on your second week is global and national climate policy framework. By your second week, after you've understood what climate change is, emission, and understanding your carbon footprint, how to analyze and calculate and reduce emissions, you will be entering into the policy aspect proper. So you'll be learning what are the global and national climate policy framework on ground. You know the international climate agreements, from the Paris Agreement, the Kyoto Protocol. You understand the Nigeria's climate policy framework. That's the National Adaptation Plan and the nationally determined contribution. So you will also have interactive discussions at the end of each session. And what you'll be learning is you'll be evaluating Nigeria's contribution to climate change and policy framework. So Nigeria has been part of the Paris Agreement, but how much contribution is Nigeria putting into, the ensuring effectiveness based on the agreement? So you can also check your learning session resources. And that same week, your second week, session 4, you'll be learning what's the state of climate finances and technology. So for those of you, I remembered that I saw when some of you registered that some of you said you have climate innovations, this one, that one. Here you'll be learning what are the technologies that can even be leveraged. And one of the things this session will do for you is it's going to help expand your mind. If you've been thinking in a particular way, even towards your initiative or towards, what climate change is, these sessions will help expand your understanding. You would know, how can we even make money from, the so-called emission that is happening? How can we, trade off our carbon for, cash, and also exploring loss and damage and, green jobs for sustainable development. So we understand the carbon market, the fundamentals of the carbon market, how carbon emission is accounted for, and the opportunities that Nigeria stands to gain as a result of that. You'd learn just like I mentioned, how can we trade this for money and make, so a lot, from there, maybe you will get your own business idea. I don't know. Until you attend, that's why we get to know. Then the action will be that you'll be able to design. So every participant will be designing a sustainable solution to a climate-related problem in your community. I'm so excited about that. The fact that you'll be, engaged to be able to you'll be engaged to be able to design a sustainable solution to a climate related problem. So somebody has elected different problems. So look around your community, or maybe your friend's community, or a community you grew up in. What problem have you been able to identify? What solution can come up? So this session will help you start thinking critically. And from this onboarding session, you can also start thinking, okay, this problem I've identified, how can I profile solution to these problems? So I'm really looking forward to that session as well. Then for your week 3 is going to be on May 30. Please take notes, just like I mentioned, all the sessions will be holding between 10 and 1:30. So which means first session for each week will be between 10 and 11:30. Your next session will be between 12 and 1:30. Now, for your third week, you'll be learning climate justice and intergenerational equity, especially on Nigeria's NDC 3.0. That's the nationally determined contribution. Just in case you don't know, Nigeria's nationally determined contribution has been implemented since 2024. Okay, I think I mentioned that earlier. So you'll be learning, that is when we'll be going deeper into the policy aspect of it, and you will be doing an analysis. Every participant will be analyzing the policy. So ahead of your session, it will have been sent to you so that you can also go through it. If you check your onboarding guide, it's already in it, but just in case you've mixed it up, it can be sent to you again so that you can go through the policy ahead, and so that and we'll be pairing you into groups as well. There are a lot of exciting things about this bootcamp, right? But don't let me jump ahead of myself. All right. So one of the things you'll be learning on your 5th session, May 30th, session 1, would be mapping Nigeria's climate vulnerabilities. And then you have group discussion on climate justice. Next, you'll be talking about understanding Nigeria's climate governance framework, including institutional rules and coordination challenges. You'll be able to identify the legal and policy instruments that support NDC implementation, including the conditional and unconditional targets. I know for some of you who are still quite new and, are not so familiar with what climate change is and, all the policies in between, don't worry about the grammar I'm speaking at the moment. Just check out the onboarding guide for the session resources, and then you can better acquaint yourself with all this grammar. And I know that by the end of the session, you'll be able to start speaking all this grammar the way I'm speaking it as well. So don't feel bad that you don't necessarily understand it yet. Just give yourself some time. All right. So the interactive discussion you'll be having during this session will be, you'll be grouped. I'll still get there. You'll be grouped and you'll be doing a policy mapping exercise of the governance gap analysis of the NDC 3.0 implementation, including state level adoption rate. There are some exciting things to look out for in this bootcamp. All right, but I won't jump ahead of myself. The next session will be, that's your 6th session, youth leadership in climate change. So we have a facilitator who is leading in this aspect of, who is a young person like you, who holds an initiative like you and has been running the initiative for a while. So his innovation, how did he go about it? Wait till that time to come and learn. And then we'll also be having a more like an interactive discussion on the, fossil fuel dependency and ongoing just transition tensions. So yeah, so let me move to the last week. So on your last final week of the bootcamp, the 2 sessions will be telling you, you'll be learning storytelling on climate advocacy and climate policy development. And what you'll be learning would be, your facilitators will be sharing how they started their own climate advocacy journey. And for this session, those who are coming are experts who have had over 25 years experience in this space. So you can imagine the kind of experience they are bringing to the table. Over 25 years experience. They will tell you, so let's say someone like you've been identifying these challenges in your community and you don't know how to even start communicating it. You want to start going on, say, LinkedIn, for instance, or social media pages, or you want to start a blog and you don't even know how to start. You want to start communicating, oh, these are the challenges I've realized and these are the solutions, these are the entry points. Or you want to start engaging with stakeholders on some of these things. Wait till then and come and learn. So I won't talk too much. But by the end of the session, you'll be able to learn valuable lessons from the speakers, including their challenges, the successes they've achieved, and strategies for effective advocacy. That's why the speakers who are even coming are international speakers. You understand? They are vast. They've had a lot of experiences across the United Nations as well. Yes, the speakers who are coming for this particular session especially are people who are vast. So you can wait, sit back and learn. All right. So the same thing for the last session. It's a two-in-one fruit. All right. So without wasting our time, I would like to, okay, there's a question and answer session. So I think I'll just wait till then before I move to the participation requirements. If you have questions, I would like to start seeing them in the chat box. I'd like you to start dropping your comments. I'd like to start for you to start dropping in the comments if you have any question based on the presentation I just had on providing you an overview on, your session of the program structure. Okay, so let me move straight to the expectations. For the expectation, all participants, you are required to be actively in participation and attendance. Attendance is compulsory. Excuse me. Attendance is compulsory. You'll be getting certificates, at least 2 certificates. For emphasis, let me put my hand towards the screen so that you see it. 2 certificates at least at the end of this session. So let me start from the certification, or rather, let me end with the certification. Now, your attendance will guarantee your certification. Anybody who misses at least 15%, or rather more than 15% of the session attendance, will not be getting a certificate. So it's a short bootcamp, just for a month, 4 weeks, and you're good. And that is why we have scheduled it to hold on weekends so that you can create time. Weekdays would have been perfect, but we know many of you might be engaged in one or two things during the week. So we decided to host it over weekends so that you can be more relaxed and also be able to contribute actively and participate completely. So it means that you are required to maintain a minimum of 75% attendance across all learning sessions to remain eligible for your certification. Your non-participation automatically means you're not getting any certification. For your Zoom participation, you are required to register in advance to secure your participation and receive calendar reminders. And also note that, there are 100 participants, including staff members and the team who are working behind the scenes. It means that anybody who doesn't join the meeting on time, or rather the sessions on time, will be redirected back to YouTube. So it means that we'll be hosting these on Zoom and also on YouTube. It means that once the session is filled up, you will be redirected back to YouTube and might not be able to join the Zoom. Okay, of course, if you're able to join the YouTube and you can share an evidence that you participated across the sessions, it will be counted as that you were around. All right, the next thing will be digital engagement and climate advocacy. Now, all participants are encouraged to contribute to climate awareness and advocacy beyond this learning session. For instance, at the end of each session, every participant is required to share their reflections, insights, and key takeaways from the sessions on your social media. We shared a GetDP link with you. Only few people have, shared this on their social media. Tag us, Nigerian Youth SDGs. Tag Climate Voices, hashtag Climate Voices Nigeria. And of course, NGYouthSDGs and also your facilitators that we will be unveiling to you at the end of this session. This way, it will help strengthen collective awareness. So people would understand that, there's a bootcamp ongoing, and also encourage public engagement and also expand the reach, at the end of the day, and also help you, in communications rather. You go on your social media platform, hey, I've been selected for this, you share a few things, and that way you're growing. All right, the next thing will be learning assignments and collaborative tasks. Just like I mentioned, every session has an interactive activity. Every participant is required. Every participant, without exception, is required to take part. By the time we start, we'll do the grouping. There will be a grouping that will be done. You have group leaders. So, and only active participants will be made group leaders. number one. Then number two, recognition and spotlighting for active people. I mean, spotlighting will only be done for those who are actively engaging. If you're not actively engaging, that might not be so. So learning assignments and collaborative tasks will be given. So at the end of each session, all your interactive activities must be fully completed. This is basically to encourage critical thinking and research, and also to strengthen collaboration and peer learning. Yeah, so you're expected to complete and submit all assignments within the communicated timelines. Then the next thing is session feedback and learning surveys. Participant feedback is important in helping us improve the program quality, learning experience for you, and also future program delivery. So every participant is required to complete the post-session and reflection forms. A feedback form will be sent to you right from before the end of the session so that you can fill it. All right. So next is networking and collaborative engagements before we move to certification. The program is designed not only as a learning platform, also a place for connection. For instance, you don't know if someone on this boot camp is already somebody thriving in his what's it called, as an innovation. You know, having this space would help you connect with people of like minds. Maybe you need a team to grow. You can meet somebody who is also interested, who has the same, passion like you do, and you're building something and you need somebody who can do it for you. This can be an opportunity for you to connect with someone of like minds, collaborate, and also take collective action. So you are encouraged to engage respectfully. As much as there's liberty, please let that be done respectfully with peers and your facilitators. And also contribute meaningfully to discussion and group activities. Build relationships and networks that support ongoing climate engagement and youth-led action. All right. So lastly, I'll be talking about your certification. Just like I mentioned, you'll be receiving 2 different certificates. But the criteria for the first certificate I had mentioned earlier, only those who make 75% of the attendance will be given certificates. And the second certification will be given based on your project. You'll be having group projects. I'll still go to the group project. So for the group project, only those who have who participate actively in the group projects will be given certificates. That's the only criteria for that certification. So you can decide to go with the 2 certificates or you go with one. You never can tell what application you'd be making tomorrow, and then the certification will be required. So please, this is just to encourage you to participate fully in the policy analysis sessions and group research that will be carried out. Ensure you have reliable internet connection to avoid disruptions during these sessions. Familiarize yourself with the Zoom platform. Test your audio and video settings before joining the session. Minimize distractions and also participate. Again, I'm saying this, participate actively. Your microphones should be muted when your facilitator is speaking. When you have questions, drop it in the chat box, or you raise your hand. If you can't speak, if you're not permitted to speak yet, you can drop your questions in the chat box. And also, you can feel free to drop any of your concerns, either via email or through the WhatsApp platform where we've been communicating with you. So, you can also share your key takeaways at the end of each learning session on your social media. All right. So these are what we require from you. And to your code of conduct, ensure that you maintain a safe, respectful, and productive learning environment. Ensure that you treat your peers with respect. Ensure that you treat your facilitators with respect and professionalism. Don't speak offensively, in an abusive manner. Discriminatory or disruptive behavior is also not permitted. Respect people's opinions and also follow all the session's guidelines. And failure to adhere to all of these rules can lead to, disengagement, can affect your continued participation in the session. All right. So at this point, I would be throwing the floor open for questions before I now talk about your group project and then we call it a day. Questions. I don't know if anybody has dropped questions in the chat box, but now. Okay, somebody said we should drop you Okay, so for those asking for their onboarding guide, the onboarding guide is in the email that was sent to you last week, Friday. Last week, Friday, an email was sent to you in the afternoon. You can check your email. You will see your onboarding guide. Sorry, please, ma'am, send us the PDF of the attendance. I don't understand. We can't send you the PDF of the attendance. It's against privacy. It's against data privacy. You don't request for that, please. My question is that, is there any stipend or data for the program, ma'am? All right, that's a very good question. So the project, I forgot to also mention, is currently not being funded at the moment. However, we want to ensure that the unavailability of funds does not impact on our ability to, in quote, impact the lives of young people in leading on climate action. So at the moment, we will not be able to provide data or stipend for the program. See it as an opportunity, see it as something that you're contributing to that will impact you educationally and also in your career. I told you earlier that I was a part of this bootcamp in some years back, and here I am. I still have my 2 certificates, contribution to the research we worked on in my group and also as participant. If you check my CV, if I want to make any climate related application, it's still relevant. I can make reference to the fact that I published a report. So for some of you that have been looking for opportunity to say, oh, you worked on this project, you've been making applications and you don't even have the what's it called to say that I've had this form of experience before now. This is a good experience for you. So beyond the fact that you'd be gaining so much, this is also a good experience for you to know that at the end of the session, you can make reference to the fact that, oh, my work has been published somewhere. That's a lot. If only you know the importance of that. My work has been published on this organization's website. And we're also aiming to publish a brief that will be shared with key stakeholders in the climate space. That's the UNFCCC, UNFCCC. So that's a good opportunity. We would have loved to provide stipend, or data stipend if we have the funding, but at the moment we are unable to cater to the needs of that number of persons with stipend. So yeah, the next thing is, can we have a copy of the attendance? Please, can you please drop the link to the attendance so that they can start filling? I already answered this. The attendance link for today, it will be shared. It will be shared. It will be shared. Yes, it will be shared. The attendance link will be shared. The attendance link will be shared. So if you check your onboarding guide, you'll also realize that we have group projects. So I think our comms team can just help share the handbook where the group project is, so that okay, somebody's raised their hands. I don't know if you'll be able to speak at the moment, but can you drop your concerns in the chat box? It will be attended to. Jimo or Payemi, can you please drop your concerns in the chat box? Can you please drop it in the chat box? Listen. Can you please drop it in the chat box? Can you please drop it in the chat box? We'd like to address your question before we talk about your grouping. So group projects. So by the end of the boot camp, everybody is okay. Let me see if there's been any. Okay, is there an opportunity to publish personal research on this platform? No, there is no opportunity to publish personal research. However, the group research you're working on would have the names of those who contribute to it, and that would be published. So it means that so that will be published. So it means that you can make reference to it that you worked on it with your group members because your name will be on it as well. So, contribution to the research, it means your name will be on it as well. So, but there won't be opportunity to publish your personal research. However, your group work will be published and you can make reference to it on the organization's website. Okay, so I think I've answered all the questions. So the handbook, you can make reference to the session on page 16, the group projects. So, and that would be where we'd call it a day. So for your group project, all participants, you're expected to take part in 2 projects, a general project and a group project. So your general project, so for your general projects, it will be a policy pitch session on the analysis of the NDC 3.0 carried out by all participants on the last week of the boot camp. If you're with your onboarding guide, you can check that out. Oh, somebody said they can't send a message from the chat. Why is that? I don't know, but you should be able to. Okay, so by the end of the boot camp, you're expected to take part in 2 projects, a general project and a group project. So the first project will be a policy pitch session on the analysis of the NDC 3.0 that we earlier mentioned. And that will carry out on the 6th of June, which is your last week, the last week of the boot camp. You'll be divided into a group of 4. You'll be divided into a group of 4, actually. And each group with 25 participants will be working on, you'll be divided into a group of 5. You'll be divided into a group of 5, and each group with 20 participants each will be working on a group project based on learning outcomes from each of the sessions. So, project implementation for the second group project will start on May 30th and end on June 12th. So you have 2 weeks to carry out your project. The first project would be a group 1, the policy pitch session. Of course, it's a general one, but you still be divided into groups. But where you'll be graded, but the output for that one will be singular. That's why it's a general project. Please confirm if you understand what I'm saying. The first project will be a general project, although you'll be divided into groups, but the output will be general. It will be singular. That's the policy part. But the research part of it will be where you'll be divided into groups of 5, and your project will run for 2 weeks. So for group 1, what you'll be talking about will be climate communication and misinformation. You'll be talking about how is climate change discussed and understood online and offline. What are the social media narratives? You identify the common myths from misinformation, and then you assess the effectiveness of climate messaging. Group 2 will be talking about climate change and vulnerable groups. How does climate change affect women, children, rural communities, or informal workers, as well as young persons living with disabilities? I'm aware that a number of persons who are living with disabilities applied for this bootcamp, and all of them were selected. All young persons living with disabilities who are actively interested, who fall within the criteria for the bootcamp, were selected. So you'll be talking about how does climate change affect women, children, and those in rural communities. You share with us human interest stories. You have community interviews, and then you have advocacy messages that will be documented in a written research output. Then group 3, you'll be talking about climate storytelling projects. You document the lived experiences of climate change across different communities, and you'll be answering the research question: how willing are young people to adopt sustainable practices? What are the hindrances to sustainable lifestyle by young people? You have your format. Then group 4 will be talking on youth participation in climate governance. What barriers prevent young youths from participating in climate policy and decision making? How informed are young Nigerians about Nigeria's climate commitments and the NDC 3.0? Then group 5, you'll be talking about climate innovation mapping. what sustainable or indigenous climate solutions already exist within your communities? What youth-led or local climate innovations already exist or lack visibility? So, and the last part of it will be your virtual graduation ceremony. So all boot campers will be graduating, and it's after your graduation, you'll be receiving your certificate. So which means that your research, your project has to be, your project has to be completed before your graduation. So your project ends June 12th. Your graduation holds on the 28th of June, and attendance is compulsory for all participants. So this is all we have for the Climate Voices Bootcamp 2026. Please, if you have any question at this point, it will be safe to take all your questions and answer. We've reviewed your onboarding guide, your session access and resources, and the program structure and what we're expecting from all participants. So if you have any question, if there's something that is not clear to you, that you need clarity on, would love to take that from you. Can you please drop in the chat? Can you please drop in the chat your questions before we call it a day? Okay, somebody said, how do we know what group we are in? All right, so the grouping, the reason why we've not done grouping yet is because your grouping will be done after your first or second session. Or rather, yes, you'll be grouped, excuse me, you'll be grouped based on your attendance. You'll be grouped based on your attendance. So for now, we've had only about 60 something participants on the onboarding out of 100 participants. So you can imagine, we can't group you yet. So after your first session on Saturday, we'll start working towards grouping you so that we can, I think some people mentioned that they are having some network issues or connecting on the WhatsApp. Well, it happens, but yeah, but grouping will be done based on grouping will be done from after your first or second session. So once we see your attendance and you're consistent, only consistent participants will be grouped, and anybody who is not consistent will be removed. We had just like we told you the email, we had a number of people who registered for the session, and only 100 participants were selected. So after selection, if you're not willing to show interest, or rather you're not willing to participate, will be removed, and have people who are really interested on board. All right. So yes, you get to know your group in about a week or 2 weeks from now, as soon as you're able to confirm fully those who are willing to commit to the project. So, but bear in mind that you have five groups, and everybody will be grouped. Thank you. I hope I've answered your question. Any other question? Any other question? Any other question before we call it a day? Are you clear about your sessions? Attendance link has been dropped. Attendance link has been dropped. Kindly check your attendance link. Attendance link has been dropped. Attendance link has been dropped. Kindly check for your attendance link that has been dropped. The attendance link has been dropped. Some people said they can't access the chat box. Is there a reason why? I think it's from your hand, not from our hand. You can please ask someone to help you out with that. You can please have somebody to help with that before we close. Okay, any other question, please? All right, sorry, I missed one last thing. Your facilitators, I forgot to show them. So I'll be doing that in a bit. But I want to be sure that everybody has filled the attendance session. I want to be sure that everybody has filled the attendance session. Please confirm if you have. Confirm if you have. Confirm if you have. Okay. So you can please help share that on the slide. So these are your facilitators, and I'm going to be introducing them before we finally call it a day. Let me see. Are there any other questions? Okay, can the link be shared on WhatsApp? All right. Are you on the WhatsApp? Okay, it will be shared with you. It will be shared with you on the WhatsApp. Our company will drop it shortly. All right, so these are your facilitators, and let me introduce them. We have Abbas Agbaje, we have Leah Peramuva, we have Uluwaseyi Ali, we have Nazreen Alamin, we have Melusi Kunene, we have Mbadosia Acha, we have Moses Akindele, and we have Esther Babatunde. For your first session on climate change, understanding climate change, Moses Akindele will be taking you on that. These are experts, facilitators, and like we mentioned to you, some of them are from Europe. We have Leah from Azerbaijan. We have Melusi from Eswatini. We have Mbadosia from Cameroon. And we have your other facilitators, top experts, climate experts from across Nigeria as well on the screen, as you can see. So these will be your facilitators. These are the faces you'll be seeing during the boot camp. We would like to implore you to warmly receive them, participate fully in the session. When you have questions, do not hesitate to share with us. Do not hesitate to let us know. So to letting us know when you do have questions or concerns. You can send them through email or you send them to the WhatsApp group. All right. This is where I would hand over the mic back to our moderator, Israel, or rather, okay, yeah, Israel, and then the closing remarks will be taken. All right. Over to
All right. Thank you very much, Evangeline. I hope we had a good clip of all that Evangeline has spoken. I know I saw some of you saying that she was speaking very, very fast. The truth is that most of what she has said, you can find them in um, your onboarding guide. So do well to go through your onboarding guide. And one more time, your onboarding guide is contained in the second email that was sent to you. I think it was sent to you last week, Friday. So do well to go through your boarding guide. I believe we will have a very, very good time during this Climate Voices Bootcamp. I can't wait to see all that this bootcamp holds for every one of us. Okay, like I said, we are not supposed to exceed an hour, so we're calling it a day right now. We'll be calling on my colleague, Mr. Itodo, to give us the closing remarks. Over to you, Itodo.
All right, thank you, Israel. And good evening, everyone. Right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for making our time to be present for this particular onboarding session. I believe it has been enlightful, has been enlightening and insightful as well. So thank you so much. Your presence is highly appreciated, especially your interest in climate action and sustainable development. And I believe that this particular bootcamp is going to help build knowledge and skills that will help drive positive change within our community and beyond. All right, so please just a quick one to everyone. Ensure you fill the attendance form. The link has already been shared before now in the chat box, and then I believe it has been dropped on the WhatsApp platform as well. And then, so please, in order to complete your attendance form, you will have to upload the screenshot of this particular session. If you have not done so, please try to do that before the close of this session. A screenshot of this particular session will have to be uploaded before the completion of the registration. All right, and then as well as has been earlier iterated, please also know that the learning session will run for 4 consecutive Saturdays, which is commencing this week. That's coming Saturdays, dated 16th May 2026, and there will be 2 sessions each day. That's scheduled for 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and then 12:30 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. respectively. That's 1.5 hours per session. So please, and then you're all expected to register ahead of each session. The registration link for all sessions, as it has been said, is in the handbook that have been shared with everyone. And then we already have experienced speakers and facilitators for each of the sessions. So we are confident that the session will be very, very impactful. And then on behalf of the Executive Director of the Network of Youth for Sustainable Initiative and the entire team, we are saying a very big thank you, and we hope to have a wonderful moment as we proceed on this journey. Till then, thank you so much.
All right. One more thing before we go. I would like us to turn on our cameras. We'll be having a quick group photograph before we leave. Please turn on your cameras. Our cameras are not on. Let's turn on our cameras. Let's have a group photograph. So you can help us do that. Our cameras on. Let's try. Let's try living now. But just need. All right. Okay, I can see some more faces. Can you do that now? Are you ready? Okay. Thank you very much. Grant me access to turn on my camera. You have the access to turn on your camera, please. You have the access to do that. All right, let's do it in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you very much. Hope to see you all on Saturday. Do enjoy your evening. Thank you.